What up, y'all? Lionel here, and I am about to go over exactly how I write notes whenever I'm talking to leads. And I know everybody takes notes, but I go the extra mile and I get every single little detail that they tell me about not only the property, but anything in their personal life that's going on to build rapport. So I know this is gonna help sharpen your deal closing hacks, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so whenever I start cold calling or talking to a lead and I see that there's some interest in selling, then the first thing that I'll do is I'll go to my county appraisal district. You know, they're all kind of different. Some of them are similar, but they all give a lot of information about the property. Okay, so it's always good to go there first, especially for me, because then when I'm on the phone with this person, let's say I'm talking to somebody named Bill, for example, okay, and Bill's interested in selling, I'll go immediately to the appraisal district and I'll see that the owner is Bill and Jane, right? And they have the same last name, Williams. And, you know, I'll say, hey, Mr. Bill, I see that Jane is on the title also. You know, who is that? Because you don't want to assume that it's like his wife. It could be his sister, could be his mom, could be his daughter, you know, other people that have the same last name. So he says, okay, yeah, that's my wife. I'll say, okay, and is it something that you guys have to come together to decide if you want to sell, or are you the only decision maker? Because I don't want somebody to feel like I'm doing business behind their back, you know? And then he says, okay, no, I'm the only one, then you know you're talking to the right person. But if he says, yes, it's my wife and I have to make a decision with her, you know, okay, is there a time where we can all talk on three-way so that we can all be on the same page, you know? And then also ask, okay, will Jane be able to sign on closing too? Will there be an issue with that? You got to make sure that both owners or whoever's on the title is going to be available to close and go to sign and close. So that's one of the first things that I confirm, because you know, this is information that you could already have, but it's good to confirm this information with the person that you are trying to buy from. Then you can check the neighborhood and you can confirm that with him too. Okay, so the neighborhood is, you know, this neighborhood, and they'll say yes, and you can get the square footage of the house and the lot, and that's going to help you for your comparables. Remember, this is exactly how I take notes, and everything that I write up here is something that I need for dealing with this lead. Okay, so I need to make sure I'm talking to the right person. We're talking about the right property, and it goes to show for them that you're serious and that you're actually looking at their property. So it's good to be on the same page 100% of the time, so you don't waste any time. Okay, so then now I go to the notes, you know, and remember, when it comes down to these notes, it doesn't have to be in a specific order. Just want to get this information in general, so you don't have to start off with the asking price. This is the first thing I wrote, but it doesn't mean that you have to start with that. You know, you feel comfortable with the person that you're talking to, and you need to kind of figure out in your own way what order you need to ask questions to get the right answers. But this is how I like to have my notes. So I'll ask him for the asking price. Hey, Mr. Seller, how much would you want for the property? You know, and sometimes they don't tell you right away, you know, or they say, hey, you called me and you said you're going to give me an offer, so I expect you to give me an offer. And that's completely fine. But I'll still dig at least one time, to see if I can, you know, get an asking price. So I'll say, okay, you know, I just want to make sure that we're in the same ballpark. So how about this? If I were to bring you a contract today or an agreement, and I have a number on that agreement that I say I'm going to buy your property at, what would be the number on that agreement that you will look at and say, yes? Yes, I'll sign today. You know, and that's one of the methods that I use. There's several methods that I've learned from other people, but that's one that I use. And sometimes they'll tell me, okay, look, if you gave me this much, then I'll sell it to you. And it's like, okay, great, got the asking price. But if they still proceed to say, look, man, I just wanted to hear out your offer. Okay, I'm not going to give you any numbers. And I'll respect it, because I already tried once, and I'll move on. Okay. So I was like, okay. And then just curious, what made you want to accept an offer today? You know, a reason for selling. And like I said, there doesn't have to be a specific order. This is just the information that I like to get. And this is how I like to have my notes. So I find out why they're selling. This is important because later in the transaction, you can see exactly what it is that they want, and you can paint the picture for them. Like one time I had this guy and he said, look, man, I'm getting old. and my wife is getting sick, and I always said we were going to travel, and we never traveled. So I want to sell my property so that I can travel with her. And I said, oh, okay. I completely understand where you're coming from, man. I think it's awesome that you're taking action now, you know? And so if you were to travel, where would be the first place you go? And he said it right away. He knew exactly where he was going. He said, Puerto Rico. And I was like, oh, okay, nice, man. He's like, yeah, I've always wanted to go to Puerto Rico. She's want to go to Puerto Rico. And that is the first place that I'd like to travel. So whenever it comes down to it, maybe this person is backing out later, I could say, okay, well, you know, like with me, you can start today, and then a month from now, you could be in Puerto Rico. You know, and this is painting the picture for them. You know, it's putting the money in their hands, you know, and they're like, okay, you know. So that's why I asked the reason for selling, because it's good to paint the picture of the reason why, because everybody has reasons why, you know, because they're dealing with an asset and they want to get a fast sale. So then I go into the condition, right? There's 5 things that will change the offer, you know, the major repairs is what we call them. Because we always have cosmetic and make ready, but foundation, plumbing, electrical, AC, and roof. Those are the 5 things that we ask about, because those are the major repairs that are going to change how much I'm going to be offering this person. So I don't go and ask them 21 questions. You know, I want them to talk to me. I tell my team all the time that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and that's to listen twice as much as you speak. Okay? So I like to ask open-ended questions so that I can get the seller talking, because people feel more comfortable when they're talking. And this video is just about the notes. I'll make another video about how I construct my call and what I try to do. But this is the information that I get from the call. A good call to me is between 10 and 20 minutes. So one of my buddies says, hey, if I gave you $1 million today, what would you start repairing on your property? Or what kind of renovations would you do if I gave you $1 million or 100,000, whichever, you know? And they say, oh, well, you know, and then they start going on about what they would do to the property, you know? So they'll be telling you exactly what it is that it needs. You know, in addition to that, they'll tell you a bunch of things that probably don't matter. Like, oh yeah, a new wooden fence, you know, I probably power wash my driveway, and that's completely fine. You want them to talk, you want them to feel comfortable, and you want to be a good listener and make sure that you're taking everything down. Everything that they say, you want to have that in the notes, especially when it's about their personal life. So the question that I ask to get the information is, okay, Mr. Seller, so tell me about the condition of the property. What type of renovations have you done in the last 10 years? And then they say, okay, well, you know, when I moved in, I got the roof done because there were some leaks. Okay, so I know that they checked off the roof, and I'm like, okay, so it's good, going good now, you know, to confirm. They say, yes, that's a good roof. You know, I dealt with the foundation and plumbing. They start telling you about history on the house. Oh yeah, a few years ago there was a pipe break, and like I had to stay in a hotel for a month. You know, and this is all extra information that you think that you might not have to put in there, but I always take everything down, because it helps with the rapport building, and it helps with the building relationship. Because I'm trying to be as friendly as I can, so that, you know, they can consider me as more than just an acquaintance or the person that's just buying their property. So they told me about the foundation, plumbing, and roof. Okay, and they tell me about other things, you know, that they've done, you know, like maybe new countertops and all these things that add value to the property, which is awesome, you know. And I let them talk, and any opportunity that I see to build rapport, I take it. And at the end of it, I say, okay, man, that's perfect information. I also celebrate their small wins. Hey man, sounds like you've been taking good care of your property, you know, because nobody really, you know, gives you know, celebration for little things that you do, like just simple things like paying your taxes. Nobody's gonna be like, oh my God, you paid your taxes. We all got to do it. But, you know, I've had scenarios where I tell somebody, oh man, that's good that you've been paying your taxes. I've dealt with some people that just haven't paid them. They'll be like, yeah, I gotta pay them. You know, that's what I do. You know, that's what I call stroking their ego. You gotta stroke their ego a little bit, but you celebrate those small wins so you can stand out more than all the other people that have been reaching out to this person. So I say, okay, so tell me about the electrical. Does every light switch work and every socket in the wall, they all work? You know, and then they say yes or no. And AC, okay, does every vent work? Is it a window unit, or is it central air conditioning? You know, do you have HVAC? And then I can kind of find out exactly where they're at for the AC. So I can check off what's needed and what's not needed, right? Because that's going to change my offer. That's why that's important. Then I ask how fast. Hey, so are you in a hurry to sell? Is this something that you want me to speed up on? Because if you'd like, I can call title company and I could tell them to put this at the front of the line if it's urgent for you, you know? And if they say, yes, it is, I need to sell in 3 weeks, circumstances change, you know, that helps build a picture. And it's also helps, just like the reason for selling, for negotiating later on. And then I ask them, okay, do you live in the property? You can find out from BCAD when you're confirming, if they have the owner has a different mailing address than the property that you're looking at, then they probably live in the mailing address. But it's not always certain. That's why it's good to confirm that. So I'll ask them, hey, is it vacant? You know, or do you live in it? And they'll tell you, okay, yeah, I live in it, or it's vacant. If it's vacant, great. That means it's gonna be easy to access the property so you can have your guys look at it. But if they say that there's a tenant, you know, then you're gonna have to deal with a tenant. Makes it a little bit difficult, but it's not the end of the deal. It's just, it's okay. You'll make it happen. So if there's a tenant, I'll ask them, okay, how much does the tenant pay in rent every month? And are they in the lease or is it month to month? Because these are the type of things that I like to know when I'm buying a property. And if you're wholesaling and you have investors coming to look at it, then that's gonna be questions that they ask too. So you wanna make sure that you're on top of all these things. So that's exactly how I have my notes. Every one of these things is something that I need for either negotiation purposes later on, or to find comparables in the area, like the subdivision to confirm, the lot size, you know, to the condition to change how much I'm actually gonna offer. All of these things mean something for me, and this is how I ask my team to make their notes whenever they're finding leads, whether they're cold calling, knocking on the doors, anything. This is the sweet stuff, the good information that I need to close the deal. So I hope that this adds value to your business, and I'll see you guys here in a bit. All right, guys, so there you have it. This is exactly how I write my notes, and this is exactly how I train my team here on how they should be taking their notes. It's making small decisions, small changes here and there like this make big differences in the future. I hope that this adds value to your business. I'm gonna have nothing but content like this coming out. So like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Round two, man. Keep your head up, know this universe is rooting for us. It's all the days we fed up that'll never let us let up. Working graveyard shifts to reach the top of the